Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Osterhout, the executive producer here at Lincoln Square. I always say that very quickly, Max. So fast. Like it
You're
just rolls off
excited.
the tongue.
There's an excitement about the end of the world.
Yes. And it is time again. It is Friday. That means it's the end of the week. Also, could be the end of the world. I'm joined, as always, by Max Burns, founder of Third Degree Strategies and a Democratic strategist. Max, how are you?
I'm doing well. I was reading the comments for some of the earlier episodes we've done, and to answer the most frequent one, no, I'm not an AI bot. And they also say that we're the same person when obviously you're the more handsome one. I have the more soft boy charm to it.
Oh, yeah. It's Max Burns Summer.
Max Summer, we're gonna looks Max, like those freaks on
Yes.
Instagram.
It's very funny because I think, what was it? The Daily maybe had a whole special last weekend on looks maxing. And I was
Yeah.
like, Max Burns, looks max. It just makes
Oh,
sense.
don't associate me with those very sad people.
It is so sad. It is the saddest thing. Well, for all of you watching today, welcome. It's great to see you all. We will be monitoring the chat as we can and posting your questions, comments, and all of that fun stuff. So make sure you post them in the chat. We'll be checking YouTube, Substack. We'll be checking all the places. So this week I want to do something just a little bit different. We tend to kind of, our prep sheets are usually like a million different stories, and we weave in and out. This time I want to keep it a little more organized. We're going to do the top 5 stories of the week. We kind of put our heads together. We came up with what I think is a pretty good list. Obviously, we're going to start at number 5 and work our way down to number 1. So you stay tuned. You know, it's a tease. It's there's a listicle.
This was really hard too to narrow it down.
This one was this week was crazy because a lot of things were swirling around. But they all kind of are swirling around one common story, right? Okay, well, so let's get started. Number 5. This is one I didn't pass by you, but I think it's quite important that nobody likes Trump. But this week, nobody likes Trump even more than they didn't like him last week. The polling here is really remarkable. He's by most accounts under 40%, sort of towing the line at 35, 36%. Here's this whopper headline. What do you make of this, Max? And are we, I mean, look, his polling has always been up and down and weird, and he has a particular baseline that he almost never goes below, the MAGA maxers, as it were. What's your take on this latest round?
Yeah, I mean, we've proven here not only can Donald Trump go below the 37% floor, he's almost below a 34% floor. And you can argue that, popularity seems kind of like a quaint thing in an authoritarian government like this. But voters vote on this. And when Donald Trump is not on the ballot, as he's not in November, as we've seen in past elections, when he's really unpopular, that drags on the rest of the Republican Party. And this is something Republicans in Congress are well aware of. They are in a red alert situation about this. They're now concerned they may not have the money to defend all of the races they need to defend if this becomes something that gets even worse or stays the same over the next couple of months. I mean, this is a pretty unprecedented situation for Trump to be in. Even Republican voters who voted for him in 2024 are now saying that they don't know if they're going to vote Republican in November. And that is a first.
I mean, and look, all of the signs, all of the primary races in terms of turnout, the special elections are just, it looks like a slaughter for Republicans. How do you think Trump is responding right now? I mean, clearly he loves polling.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, and Trump, of course, reads polls. That's the one thing he does read. And he knows this is happening. We saw reporting from inside the White House this week that showed not only that he's panicked, but that he doesn't seem to have any kind of plan for the administration. He said he wants to wind down the war in Iran. But then when you talk to White House officials and ask what's next, they say he doesn't really know. Maybe he'll do cost of living. Maybe he'll go back to ICE and mass deportation. Maybe he'll invade Cuba. Maybe he'll try something like another farmer bailout check. And the lesson you get from this is that he just has no idea where to go from here. And he's throwing out ideas, hoping someone has a better thought than he does.
I keep coming back to this, and I have over the past 10-ish years, for too long, since the the golden escalator or whatever, that Trump is just your grandpa screaming at the TV. And I know that has been a whole thing, right? We've all said he's just like an irascible old man who's like thinks he knows what he's doing and all this kind of thing. But I think there's something deeper in that analogy, because he's leading like that. He's leading as if he has a very, it's not even an inch deep and a mile wide. It's like a millimeter deep. He knows sentences. He doesn't know topics. He doesn't know anything. He really just has a sort of trolling understanding of the world and the way government and politics and international politics work. And so he's, has had administrators and people who are around him, the Russell Votes of the world, who totally understand how their government works and can pull some strings, but it feels just like it's all unraveling. Like none of the talking points that he thought were going to lead this country actually do anything.
Yeah, and we saw just today, the White House, there was an anonymous source in the White House who said that the president is getting tired of it, that he wants to move on to something else. And they're talking about the presidency, not about Iran or anything else. That Donald Trump is now bored with it. He feels like he's done about all he wants to do, and he doesn't know what to do next or care. It's why he's announced that he's considering renovating the treaty room now and doing more White House renovations. When he can't think of anything else to do, he'll just start fixing the house.
I mean, okay. So let's continue. Let's go to number 4. By the way, we're getting a lot of great comments. He's going where the shiniest object is. Of course, he's a dumb fucker sitting at the bar on his 5th beer, solving the problems of the world. That's Patrick, classic Patrickism. Seems very mixed old guy who's lost it. Not old. Anyway, Maxine, yes, you're absolutely right. So counting back, number 4. And Max, did the lights just go off on you?
I think I just got drone struck.
Okay.
I think Trump's cutting the power. He knows what we're doing. He's cutting the power.
We'll save that. So the next big story, which is there are so many big stories that the global food supply being at risk is only the 4th most important. And this again goes back to Iran. So tell us about this story.
Yeah, this is great news for your weekend cookout. America, the home of the Whopper, is now facing a food shortage, as is the rest of the world. And we have Donald Trump, of course, to thank for that. Because if you're not familiar with how farming works, it takes a lot of fertilizer to make all the food that we eat. Fertilizer almost entirely produced using natural gas. Natural gas kind of in tough supply right now because Qatar and other countries have completely stopped producing it. They're afraid their factories are going to get hit. It's not being shipped out of the Middle East. So now fertilizer prices have exploded. And if you're wondering why groceries, especially fruit and vegetables at the grocery store, are up almost 50% over the last couple weeks, this is why. And it's really hitting farmers in red states the hardest. These are the people who voted for Donald Trump in 2024, who believed that he would have their back. And now they are doing the worst they've done in over a decade. The risk now of farm bankruptcies is skyrocketing, and we're seeing distressed farm issues rise markedly. This is one of the unintended consequences of starting a war with no plan.
And look, I mean, just to go back to the polling, right? It's that polling is the logical extension of all of this that we've been talking about so far today. But talk about farmers a little bit, because it's not just this war and fertilizer, right? It's tariffs.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
I mean, ultimately, what tariffs did is wiped away the customers, right, for the farmers who have products they need to sell.
Yeah, it destroyed farmers in the global market. It's one of the things farmers were furious about. It's why Donald Trump authorized this $12 billion, what he calls a farmer bailout, which is essentially giving the tariff money back to these struggling farmers. The problem is prices have risen so much since those tariffs went in that $12 billion, it doesn't matter. And about 80% of that anyway, it went to industrial farms like ConAgra, big
Right.
corporations, not small farmers. So we see the number of farm distress rate going up. Just like in his first term, when farmer suicides hit a record because of his first trade war, we're also seeing farmer suicides start to go up. I mean, foreclosures, family farms that have been in families for generations are being sold off for pennies because they just cannot afford to do it anymore. And Donald Trump has no plan for this, right? There's no more money to give them. He's given it away. And there's no easy way out of the conflict he started. There's no easy way to get fertilizer prices back down. So you end up paying more, farmers make less. And in the United States of America, we have a food shortage. I mean, can you believe that?
It's wild. And here's the other thing. It's as all of this fuckery is happening at the top and trickling down into our own economy, the rest of the world is moving on. So these
Yeah,
customers, right, for soy or for corn, have found other vendors that are not
yeah.
American farmers. So putting this back together is going to be a massive, massive project. I mean, it could, in a way that NAFTA, offshore manufacturing. We have a lot of farmland here, but what are we going to do with it? If
Yeah.
nobody needs what we have.
We were promised a golden age, and now farmers can barely even get seeds to grow crops, let
Right.
alone sell them. They can't fertilize them if they could. There's also a looming water crisis in the West because of trade fights with Mexico. This is such a cascading problem. And the irony is, it's hitting the people who voted for Trump the hardest. It's hitting red states, it's hitting agricultural communities. These are people who do not have safety nets. They voted for Donald Trump because he said the big government is stealing from you. And then he didn't just steal from them, he took their land too.
Yeah, he took everything. Another Patrickism. He's before we move on to the next topic, let's call this number 4 sub B. Patrick says he got another prestigious award though, this time from Congress. I think it was the Golden Dildo. He says, I'm not sure that that's exactly what it was, but something like that. The prestigious award that Mike Johnson gave him this week didn't make our list, but probably should have. Did you see
Mike
that?
Johnson will never make the list. He wishes he could make the list.
Yeah, that's true. He's so non-consequential that he can't even make a worst of list. Okay, so we have, just to review, bad polling. We have food supply crisis. What's next? Number 3. Anybody in the chat want to guess what 3, 2, and 1 are? I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep an eye out, Max. Number 3, the economy.
Yeah, the
And
golden
by the way,
age.
this is a trend, right? Polling, food supply, economy. We're on really shaky ground here. How are you feeling?
Yeah. This is huge. This is for a president who based his entire presidency on how well the stock market's doing. We're now down 10% from the last high. That is officially correction territory. Some golden age. Don't look at your retirement fund right now. It is a disaster. And the really scary part is there's no safe haven. Markets, international markets, US markets, tech, transportation, staples, everything, energy are all crashing because of the insecurity and uncertainty around the war. And every day we get 5 different positions from the president. The market has no idea what's going on. And now your portfolio is paying the price for it.
I wonder about the Doge cuts, the tariffs, all of the bad policies seem to be a sort of loosening of the screws of the, and the legs that hold of the table that holds up the world, right?
Yeah.
The war feels like it is testing the table now. He's weakened all of our, infrastructure, our sort of baseline treaties, agreements, economy, and now this war is almost like a, he made his bed and now he has to lie in it.
Yeah.
How do we pull? What is? I'm not going to ask you to predict, but predict what happens with the economy, Max. What
I
are we
mean,
looking at here?
nothing good. We're producing zero jobs, according to the Fed chair, which is something that has never happened before. And I can tell you exactly how to make money in this economy is just be friends with Donald Trump's kids. Invest in whatever prediction markets they're investing in. The only people making money in this market are the ones who are putting bets on Kalshi and Poly market 5 minutes before Donald Trump makes an announcement and using their insider information to get rich. The actual financial markets, they're not producing anything anymore. We are entirely in the crypto rug pull grift prediction market influencer hellscape. And I have no idea how we pull out of this. It's a crisis of confidence that's only really going to be fixed when we have a different president.
Well, this is a story that we didn't cover exactly, but let's call it 3 sub B, 3 sub. We'll start with A, 3 sub A.
This is getting complex.
This is. I've got a whole board with a bunch of strings connecting all the dots. The grift, like, this feels like an underlayer that is not being explored because we have too much. We have to stop a war. The economy is tanking. All of these things are happening. However, that trade, you got a Sharpie too. Of course, I have a Sharpie floofy unicorn. Of course, I have 3. I run out of them. I run out of ink on the hour. That trade was so diabolical and so grifty. How do we get to the bottom of this? And where does the untangling and where do we start picking up the scraps of this shit? Will anybody ever be held accountable?
It's really tough to solve a public confidence crisis because you have to restore public confidence. And you don't do that with the same people who destroyed it. I mean, we just started seeing this week the first congressional office saying that they are banning their staff from participating in prediction markets.
Right.
Because it is a damage to public trust. It's public officials who are plainly playing events for profit. And it gives them incentive to make events happen that make them money. And you cannot have a functional democracy when there's a huge profit incentive to guide policy decisions toward what you've personally invested in. I mean, we need some form of sunlight laws on this, and we need bans on stock trading, obviously. But these prediction markets are nefarious, and they are really influencing policy in a way that I don't think their creators initially thought they would.
No, they Kalshi and they've actually said, we really love insider bets on this because it makes the outcome more certain, right? The prediction more accurate, which is such a despicable thing to say.
When you're talking about people betting on where we're going to bomb or whether someone will be assassinated, it's disturbing to me that people in policy don't see the problem in betting on whether someone will be assassinated and how that may give someone a financial incentive to assassinate someone.
Well, I think it goes even further than that. And let's think this through. So I'm a guy who has a decision to make: bomb Tehran or bomb, I don't know, Isfahan, right? There, I see that on a prediction market, there is a wager. Who's going to go first, Isfahan or Tehran? I wait and see which one will make me the most money, right?
Yep.
And then seconds before I make my decision, I front load into that and I pull the trigger and I've made a ton of money. So it's not just um, uh, like trying to cheat. It's actually using the markets to guide your own decision making.
Yeah. And it is minutes. It is literally minutes.
Yes.
The decision that made millions of dollars for some anonymous trader about where Trump would bomb was made 5 minutes before that bomb hit. There was no public announcement of that decision. So whoever did it is either the luckiest person in the world or someone in the Pentagon who had advanced knowledge of where that would be. And that should really terrify us.
It really should. It makes us considerably less safe. And it is just another, example of this oligarchy. They get everything. We get nothing. Okay, number 2. Let me see what DHS, Rugby, ELM. Thanks, DHS and ICE will be our number 2. Anybody else? Polymarket is betting on death. It's a scourge. It is a pox on all of us. Cynthia, JB7. Yes, absolutely. Patrick hasn't checked lately, but the second coming of Christ was trading at 4%.
Yep.
Well, if Jesus wants to make some money, right, then he would just appear. He would be a rich
what's really
man.
nefarious about that? I looked into that bet because I thought that's so stupid, like easy money.
Yeah.
But it's because it's at 4% because there's actually a secondary derivative bet that large investors have made that says that number will not go above 5%. So there are investors now who are fighting other investors to try and drive that number up so that their side will pay out. And this is exactly how it distorts markets in ways you don't see.
Yeah.
When you see the price of whether there'll be a rate cut at the Fed on Kalshi, there are shadow bets too on the other side. And people have huge financial interest in moving those events to pay themselves out.
Yeah.
And you don't see it. It's all hidden.
I think here's my prediction. These prediction markets will ruin people, a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think that ruination will fall and land pretty squarely on young men.
Yep.
Whose prospects are already not great. Okay, number 2. Everyone, ready? American military bases are being droned. This was something that you showed me this morning. What is happening?
I don't understand how this is not the top story in America.
Right.
So during the Epic
Wait,
Fury
before you
Operation
go
Epic
on,
Fury,
we just went through a whole bunch of terrible stories. That's why this is not the top story, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is stunning to me that during the course of this Iran war, several U.S. military bases in the United States have been buzzed by drones to the extent that they've had to shut down operations for safety, including several bases, including Barksdale Air Force Base, where our B-52s are. And those B-52s are out in the open. They had to shut down the base operations for security. These are drones that are not, you don't get them off Amazon. These are not commercial. They're resistant to jamming. They're much more complex than anything Iran or even Russia has, according to the military. They are very tough to spot. They travel in groups of 10 to 15. And this is the first time since World War II that a US-based military base has had to shut down due to a security threat from the air. I mean, these are things that we quite literally don't know who they are or where they're coming from. We know that they're weapons capable, and it's very tough for us to stop them. And these incursions are happening weekly at this point.
So, I mean, this comes on reporting that from the New York Times that some 13 bases in the Gulf and in the Gulf region in the Middle East have been hit to the point of not being able to be inhabited.
Yeah.
That a lot of our military personnel are living in hotels right now. The war is not going great, despite Trump's bluster. Is it going worse than we even know?
Yeah. This is one of the most dangerous things. I think from the U.S. military's perspective, they're treating this drone incursion as the most dangerous thing that has happened, including the actual strikes on bases. Because as they acknowledged, if these drones had had weapons on them and they appear to be weapons capable, they could have taken out dozens of B-52s easily. I mean, the Army admits we would have had no countermeasure for it because we were only able to down, I think, 1 or 2 of them with jammers, and the rest got away. And these are things that are happening in the United States of America on US soil. So they're long enough range that they're being operated from outside the country. And they're hard enough to bring down that we quite simply don't know whose they are yet.
That's terrifying. That is terrifying. I want you all to just imagine an incident in which we've never been attacked in a war on our own soil. I mean, 9/11 was an incredible attack, obviously, but we weren't currently at war. If Iran or a proxy was able to attack American soil, the game has been changed.
Yeah. And the concern the military has both for their own bases and imagine 10 of these drones with small bombs flying into the Holland Tunnel and exploding, destroying, killing not just hundreds of people, but paralyzing the Northeast and driving the United States into an economic crisis over where and when this would happen again. These are real threats, and the military has a confidential briefing on the Hill this week about it. They're taking it really seriously.
Yeah, well, I hope so. And obviously, Pearl Harbor was an attack, but the Hawaii wasn't a state yet, and also it's not in the 48. I'm talking about the contiguous 48. Somebody says terrifying is an understatement, and also I cannot believe this is surprising anyone. And I think that's right. I think that partly why this story isn't getting the attention that it really deserves because nobody's really surprised. We are weak. We have been brought to our knees by this administration, and so these stories, they come at you hard and fast, and the mainstream media chooses what to cover, and usually it's not this.
Don't worry though, Pete Hegseth is on it. If that makes you feel good.
I always have a conversation with Andrew Watkins about white Christian nationalism, and we taped today, and we talked a lot about the Pentagon prayer service. Did you catch that story, by the way?
Yeah, and this is what our military leadership is doing. When they're not firing people involved in the drone interdiction program because they're women or black, they're praying for the deaths of our enemies. Well, our enemies are actually building things that can deliver death to us. So, this seems like a video game to Pete Hegseth, but it may very soon become quite real.
Yeah, Hegseth is a guy I just imagine, he's like gelling his hair in front of the mirror, and he's like, war fighters, lethality. And he's like, yeah, that sounds good. Oh yeah, Pete, you're going to kill him today, man. Go get him, buddy. You're a winner. What a turd. Sorry. Okay. It is time for, Glenn, GL English. It's a long name. This is tofu. Trump only fucks up to stuff in another taco. It's pretty good. I'll take that. That's a good one. Tofu.
I like that.
Okay, number 1. Oh, by the way, somebody, before we get to number 1, sorry if I'm cliffhanging right now, but somebody mentioned that, what was it, that a number 1 story could be that people are falling in love with their AIs. And I think we should talk about that next week or another time, because that's another huge issue, but it is not the issue this week. And that, I think, is kind of the whole story, right? It's why we don't get coverage of drones buzzing American bases in America, because there is so much. We are like, the house is on fire and we have to put it out first. Which leads me to number 1, potential ground war. Obviously, Trump has dialed back rhetoric a little bit. He keeps, extending the timeline for his great big attack on Iranian infrastructure. That doesn't make me feel better because troops are still on their way. What do you make of this?
Well, for anyone listening, I think the point that you need to take away from this, if anybody pushes you on the MAGA side on this, there are already boots on the ground in Iran. Donald Trump has said he's put special forces in there to help coordinate airstrikes. We already have troops. The only question now is how many and how fast. And it looks like the number has now gone up from 1,000 to 2,000 to 10,000 at the same time that we're talking about getting out of this war. And Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump seem to think that the way to do this is what they call a big finale of ground and air forces together to finish this. When is the last time you've ever heard of a ground invasion finishing the war? That's just the opening up of the big front of the war.
Yeah.
Normandy didn't finish World War II. It's just the next phase. And so many people are going to be wounded and die from this. It is catastrophic.
It's, Lindsey Graham, we didn't talk about this either, but it's part and parcel of that. His whole statement, we're going to go get them. We've done Iwo Jima. We can do this. And, disregarding the fact that there were 7,000 deaths and some 18, 19, 20,000 casualties or more from that mission on Iwo Jima. It was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
It was
we still had to drop 2 atomic bombs to end that war. Iwo Jima didn't end anything.
No, nothing. So as we have number 5, what was number 5? Number 5 was Trump's polling in the tank. Number 4, food supply shortage, likely. Number 3, the markets are tanking. Number 2, our American drones or our American military bases are being buzzed. I'm laughing because what else is there left to do? This is ridiculous. And number 1 feels like the centerpiece of this whole arrangement, a potential ground war. What's next? Now I will ask you to make a prediction. What are we looking at for next week? How do all of these threads from this week go into next week?
Well, it's easy to forget we have a domestic politics too, but it looks now also like Republicans are up against a wall on ICE. They're moving forward with funding TSA and DHS without ICE, which is a huge win for Democrats. That is a strategy that took a lot of heat at the start, but appears to be working, and now may get some serious adjustments to how ICE is funded and how it operates and transparency there. But none of this is going to be front page if boots land on the ground in Iran. I mean, that is going to be an expansion that will send oil prices skyrocketing. If you think things are unstable in the markets and in the grocery store today, wait until a week after boots are on the ground. It'll be unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully that doesn't happen this weekend. Everyone out there, I want to know if you're going to a No Kings protest tomorrow. I think, these protests have, in light of all of the things that are wrong and all of the fixing that needs to take place, a protest can feel, token a little bit, but I would argue that a protest is a beginning and not an end, right?
Yep.
This is where you go and you rub shoulders and bristle against the people who are pro-democracy, who are on our side, who are aligned in all of the things that we're aligned in. And, we can be misaligned in certain things and still be pro-democracy. This is the beginning for us, not the end. So I want to know if you all are going. And if you do, keep checking out Lincoln Square, because we're going to have opportunities for you to post pictures and give inspiring stories and tell us about your experience at No Kings. We all need some inspiration right now. Max, are you going to go protest?
I'm going, and if people see me come up, say hi, I will prove to you I'm not an AI, or at least a really amazing one. But yeah, You're absolutely right. I mean, it's not just about the event itself. It's about the solidarity we take away from it. It's about the relationships and connections that are built there.
Yep.
And it's also about seeing that other people share your outrage. That is a powerful thing in this moment.
It is. I mean, I think, a lot of us walk through the week feeling rather numb. And there's the last No Kings, I felt catharsis. I felt, really emotional. I took my kids and they didn't want to be there. They would rather be doing something else. But they also, you could tell, felt it as well. They didn't want to be there because they're teens and they don't want to be anywhere. But you could see that sort of collective action resonated. It's hard for it not to.
Yeah.
Well, Max, next week, if there's a ground war, I hope not. We can talk about AI. We can talk about what it feels like for you to be AI, and all of those things.
I can't wait for that. My programming won't allow that, but who knows? Pete Hegseth may have fallen in love with the drones by then.
That's possible. He could say, actually, it's possible his signal chat is controlling the drones. Thank you for the shout out. Thank you for chatting, and thank everyone for your comments and your questions. They are hilarious and terrifying and wonderful, and we love you all. Max, have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
You as well, and everyone stay safe out there at the protest.